I bought a thing. I bought a big thing. I want to show you what I bought. It's really cool. Hello, it's Icy. Yes, that's right. I bought myself some antique furniture. I've never bought anything old before. I've inherited some things that were old, but I've never actually forked over some money for my own thing. So I got a 1910s bureau. So glass fronted cabinet on one side, little secretariat on the other, and it's really cool. So let me show you around. Okay, let's take a little tour. I'm not sure of how bright this is going to be, and I don't know how steady this is going to be either. So we have two sides to this. One side is a secretariat. I think that's how you say it, a bureau. And the other side is a glass doored cabinet. They're joined together. It does look like they were always meant to be together, but there's some really interesting bits and pieces with this as well. So let's have a look at the in here first. Now I'm not going to let this go because I haven't actually pulled out the supports, but there's all your envelope storage. Whether that was part of the original or if that was added in later, I don't know. We've got the original, probably the original wallpaper maybe, I'm not sure. The lock itself doesn't work. Mr. Ice is going to have a look and see if he can fix it. But the key works for the other locks. Then we've got two little slides, one on either side. This is for this to actually rest on. And then we've got a rather well-made drawer. So the drawer's really particularly well made. It's actually sort of here on either side of the drawer, and just underneath it's actually got ridges so that it slides in and out smoothly, which is great. Then we've got a cupboard down the bottom with a little latch. There's one shelf that goes in here, and that's outside after being oiled. And that's it's pretty good storage. And then on the other side, we've got this kind of amazing tall, it's like 150 centimeters tall on this side, storage. You can see here really clearly in this light how there was at some point some molding that's been pulled off. There's a bunch of little interesting things along the lines. Yeah, and there's one piece of this glass that's broken just down here. It's just that kind of wavy glass, so we might be able to get it repaired. Well, we're gonna see. So I might just put, I don't know, I might put some tape or something on it just for the time being to hold it until we work out what we're doing. So on the inside, I've got 3 shelves, only one of which is curved, so they're actually in really good quality wood. Yeah, really nice and strong, and interesting, almost IKEA level of like fastenings, which look like this. So, and it's got the holes drilled. I have no idea if that's period. Not a clue. It's helpful. And I'm sure Mr. Isaac can rig me some more of these if I want to add another set of shelves, but it's weird. So on the inside, just a really big open space, which I realise I have no perspective of with that shot. So a couple of things that are interesting. That make me think this has been through some iterations. So yeah, one is you can see where there's some molding removed, and there's also a couple of little, you can actually feel a couple of It's like one there, there's an actual nail that hasn't been trimmed down properly, so we need to get that sorted. Now, at some point, this has been stained, and I think the reason is, at some point, somebody has let this fall open and the whole thing snapped off. So, let's pull these out. Some of this I saw in the shop and some I didn't. So if we put that down there, let's see if we've got enough light. Maybe? All right, hang on, let's see. So you can see there's an entire chunk that's actually had to be cut out and replaced. There are some new screws in here, and you can see on this side, you can see there's an actual crack running through the wood around the screw, and ditto on this side, there's a whole crack that's actually running from where the screws are across the wood. So at some point, somebody's just let this thing fall down and it's smashed open. Now if I go, there you go, you can see the crack, one of the cracks running across there. And then on the other side, you can see there's a repair there where they've added a bit of wood. And underneath, you can actually see there's two dirty great big screws going straight up through, which is holding it all together. Possibly, we might see how it goes, but I might get Mr. Icy to add some more on that side as well, just to make it stable. And in this light, you can actually see how that whole section there is actually broken out as well. Oh, we didn't see that one before. So there's like a whole separate piece of wood across that top section there as well. So now the other thing I think's happened is it's been stained, but it's been stained pretty sloppily. There's a couple of runs, which you can see. I don't know if you can see it there. Oh, maybe just sort of there. Oh, maybe that shows up. But also, they didn't bother doing the side. So the original color is this rather nice red-brown on the edge. I actually really like the dark wood. I wanted it for the dark color, but yeah, it's fascinating that they just didn't bother. And it's just so rough. Like, it's really rough. On the other side, they've actually taped it. So you can see clearly there's a difference, but on this side they've actually taped the edge. Additionally, weirdly, the beading on this side has been torn off, but that's obviously been gone for a long time. So not sure. Some of it is lacquered and some of it is not. So all of the outside darker stuff you can see is lacquered. So it's all been oiled, but oil has been rubbed off again, and that's basically cleaned it. The inside of the bottom cupboard is not oiled. Sorry, it's oiled, but not lacquered, so the oil took in. And all of the shelves were also not lacquered. But like, for example, on the inside of the cupboard, that was lacquered, but not the bottom of it. The back hasn't been lacquered, which is understandable because you don't really see it, so that's all absorbed the oil really, really well. So yeah, really, really interesting. So I've got plans for this. As you can tell, this is in with the rest of my sewing stuff, and I had been looking for something that I could use to actually store some of my sewing things in this room. I've got a whole bunch big material storage in another room. This won't cut it, but my plan is to move sewing books, some of the material, and like all of my little bits and pieces into here, which I think will be perfect actually. And then eventually I'm going to get my sewing table replaced with something that's a bit more historically nice. All of the furniture in this part of the house is all dark wood, and there's this great big white laminate thing over there with a sewing table on it. So it would be nice if it at least, you know, visually matched the rest of this. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Once I can actually finish this, put it back together, add some things, and then see how pretty it looks. Very nice antique bureau with bookshelf is finished. I've cleaned it all up. I've organized all of my sewing stuff. I did need to move some of the fabric that I had in here, not very well organized, back to the other room, which is honestly where it should be. So what I'm going to do is attempt to keep just the current project in here, as opposed to the projects that I think I will do anytime soon, because I think, you know, this probably is the case for most people. Do you really do all of those things you had listed? No, you don't. So I think I'm going to move things from the other room in here as I'm about to start them. So right now I've just got the stuff for the Victorian project here, and another project that is going to interrupt in between the Victorian one and basically another project that's going to slot in there instead. So it's got everything here. So all the current patterns, all the patterns I'm developing and making, my little vintage handbags that perhaps I am now collecting. Anyway, all of my threads on these great little slide out things that Mr. Icy made me. All of my ribbons now organized neatly on some little rolls, which is also fantastic, as opposed to just dropped in a box. All my sewing books of various, you know, coffee table style books, instructional books, that kind of thing, they're all in here as well. All of my camera recording equipment is also in here too, which is nice, just to gather everything together. The dye stuff is in here. Admittedly, that could probably go to the other room, but that's okay. It's got a good spot here. So it's great. It's really, really good. I would expect I'll be doing some sort of other reorganizing in this room as well, because now that I've basically cleared out the sewing table, and as I never actually use the pop up and down sewing table to like put the sewing machine away, I'm like, so why do I have such a large sewing table when I could do something else that actually would look nice and fit thematically in this room? Because everything else in this room is all like dark wood. This is the only like, well actually, this is the only antique thing, and I have one other vintage thing that my grandfather made. And then everything else is either Mr. Icy has made it, or it's just kind of modern, i.e. we bought it 30 years ago, furniture. So yeah, so the sewing stuff doesn't actually fit in here, and that's okay. I haven't really minded up until now, but now I'm thinking, well, no, maybe I can do better. So I expect there'll be some overtime, not straight away, some more reorganizing in this part of the house, I think, which will be cool. But thank you for joining me on this little slightly different video. Do you have a space in your house where you do sewing? Do you have some sort of cool, interesting, organizational, not antique, yes antique, modern, IKEA? IKEA's got some good stuff, and to be honest, basically the entire house past this wall is all IKEA. I am here for IKEA. So, but this has all worked very well. So if you have not, please do throw us a follow here on YouTube. It's very much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.